G'day guys, how are we going? Well, today's video is going to be about the basic minimal off-road checklist. Now this is going to be perfect for beginners who are just getting started out into camping and 4WDing. Now this list is going to be an absolutely non-negotiable list, but it's just a beginning to get you started and then just build it up from there. So let's get into it. Righto, so the first item straight off the rank is going to be, first aid kit. That should be your first item you should be really thinking about before you go away any camping trips, 4WDing trips, is get yourself first aid kit. There's so many you can have a look at. I take two away. This is just my basic one, just for, you know, general cuts and abrasions, all that sort of thing there. That just covers everything in that one there. I won't go into it, but it's got all the bandages in there for whatever I do need. But this one here is my really my main one too, for snakes, snake bites and those sort of things. So this is a really good kit, and it's a designated snake bite kit. So it covers everything you're going to need, you know, for if someone does get bitten by a snake, it's going to be all in that kit there. But one thing that's also really important too when it comes to first aid gear, you know, is to know how to use this sort of kit, just in case, you know, you do need to use it on someone who might get bitten by a snake. You know, it's all good having these sort of kits, but if you don't know how to apply this stuff properly, well, it could be a matter of life and death. So it's really worth going out and do a St John's ambulance course or some sort of first aid course. I've done a couple of St John's ambulance courses over the years, and they are absolutely invaluable on the information and the tips you'll get on how to use all this first aid gear out there in the bush, just in case you do need it. So that one there is certainly well worth looking at. Again, very lightweight. You know, I can throw it in a backpack if I want to go for a walk or something like that. I can take it with me. But that one there is my designated snake kit, and definitely well worth getting hold of it. But yeah, go and get some training first, because like I said, you know, if you've got all this gear and you don't know how to use it, you know, it could be a matter of saving someone's life. So absolutely go and get some proper training, and you should be all good to go with using all that gear properly and helping somebody out. Let's see what else we've got on this list. Righto, so the next one we need to have a look at is some safety devices and communication when you're out there in the bush, especially in remote areas. Now, look, we all carry mobile phones and those sort of things, but you know, these are pretty, you know, you're not always going to get phone reception depending on where you're going. So you can't always rely on your phone to pick up the phone and you know, dial up emergency services just in case you do need it. But look, the way mobile phones are going now with technology, it's not going to be far off before you're going to be able to use one of these like a satellite phone. I don't have a satellite phone, but you know, with some of the places I go, but this does have an application in it which I haven't used it yet, haven't had to need to use it yet when I'm out there in remote, but where I can apparently dial up, or it's not so much dial up, but I can send a text to emergency services up the top corner there. I'll get, you know, satellite, it'll be a little satellite indication there where I'm out of service. And apparently I can, you know, send texts there to emergency services. So, but lucky enough, I haven't had to test that one out, but that's what, you know, this is the iPhone 14, so they're only getting better from there going forward. But again, don't rely on your phone. That's going to be able to get you, you know, to some coverage just in case you need it. But you've got to make sure you've got something that's going to give you some, you know, to be able to contact someone from the outside just in case something does go majorly wrong. And that's where I keep banging on about these things. Fair dinkum, a PLB, personal location beacon. This is my little one here. You know, I've had this one now for a few years. Again, lucky enough, I haven't had to set it off, but you know, I carry this on my hip. You've seen on plenty of my videos, but PLB is an absolute finick and must. You know, if you're not carrying one of these, yeah, you really need to have a look at something like that to take away for any of these remote locations where you're going now. You know, then if you get into your satellite phones, you know, you can go and hire them if you're going to, you know, head into some remote place of Central Australia or somewhere like that, where you're going to be off grid for, you know, a good few weeks, going to have no phone reception. Well, then you might look at maybe hiring a satellite phone to take away just for that time where, you know, you may need it to contact for emergency services. But fair income, get into one of these. Got to absolutely have some sort of contact, and that is my contact for the outside if I do get into some serious trouble out there, and I take it absolutely everywhere. Yeah, and then there's the UHF communications. Again, not a great deal of range with these. This is my handheld, which I generally just have sitting on the seat of my 4WD if I'm, you know, have this one on scan, if I'm, you know, wanted to pick up some other conversations going on. But I've got my hardwired one also in there, which is going to give me a lot more range than what this one ever will. So, but you know, this is just a good backup to have, and you know, and also it's a great way of communicating if you've got to get out, you know, to do some spotting for one of your mates to come through a tricky track or something like that. They can't quite see where they're going. Well, you know, you can get out, and having one of these, you've got good communications back to your mate who's trying to find his way through this, you know, this challenging, you know, situation on track. So, handheld, definitely well worth having one of those. But look into the emergency services. Yeah, can't speak highly enough of these PLBs. Absolutely must to carry one of these to dial up, or not so much dial up, but get emergency help if you really need it. Because with these, it's not a matter if, it's a matter when. If you go and hit that button there, you've got to put the aerial out and set him all up. But yeah, push that button and yeah, just wait for emergency services to turn up, guaranteed. So let's see what else we've got in this list of unnegotiable items. Righto, so the next one on the list is your spare tyre. You know, make sure you've got your spare tyre, make sure it's inflated, and make sure it's in good condition for, you know, for when you're going to head away into these remote places, wherever you're going to go. And the other thing too with the spare tyre, the amount of times that I see spare tyres, you know, hanging on the backs of 4WDrives, where they're not even the same size and same diameter and everything as the matching, you know, tyres on their 4WDrive. You know, you've got to make sure that the spare tyre you do have is the same size. You know, you don't want to necessarily have a smaller tyre from what you've got in your 4WDrive, because that can cause issues having different size tyres. If you've got to put a smaller one on, you know, and drive yourself out, just the different rates that, you know, tyres spin with bigger tyres and smaller tyres. So make sure your spare tyre is exactly the same as what's on your 4WDrive. Now let's get into some of the tools that are going to be required to make sure you got those, just in case you've got to get that off one day and do a spare changeover. So let's check out some of the tools required for changing your spare tyre and make sure you got those. Okay, so we've now covered, you know, the importance of having a good spare tyre and the right size that's going to fit your 4WDrive. And then just as equally important to go with that spare tyre is make sure you've got all the bits and pieces, all the tools required to be able to change that tyre in case you do get a flat out there one day. And so there's my jack, you know, that's my jack. I just got, you know, that's just my standard jack. I just still use that for changing my spare tyres. I've got a base plate there which I take away, and that's where the jack will sit on that in case I'm, you know, maybe in some soft ground or something like that. It'll run away. So yeah, so make sure you got some sort of a base plate just in case you are needing to jack up and on some soft ground there one day. So that's where that comes handy. But this is where it's a really important one. You know, you might have alloy wheels or mag wheels or something like that, and you might have even locking nuts or those sort of things even on your wheels there. So maybe they potentially can't get knocked off, but you've got to make sure you've got the right sockets. Now that is the socket I need for those wheel nuts, and I've got to make sure I've got that, because if I haven't got that, I could be in a bit of trouble, because this is a 4-pin, you know, brace there, 4 sockets on that probably fit most standard wheel nuts, but this pin here won't fit the wheel nuts on my 4WDrive here. So what I've got to do is got to use this socket here, and it goes into that, and that's where I can use then to change the wheel nuts on my 4WDrive, because these sockets here, they're too big to fit in to get around the wheel nuts. So this is the socket I've got to have. So without that socket, you know, going to be in a world of trouble how I'm going to go about undoing those wheel nuts, you know, to you know, change that spare tyre. And then I've got all my other bits there. That's just the arm which goes into the jack there. You know, crank that up. And that's how I lift it up, by turning that around and around. And that lifts up, but yeah, just make sure you've got all the bits required to operate your jack in case you've got to get out there and get that spare tyre off one day and change it for a flat. So that's all the bits that I've got for that one. Let's check out what else we've got. Righto, so the next item on the list of absolutely non-negotiables is you've got to have your own recovery gear. You know, you shouldn't really go away, you know, even with a bunch of mates. You've got to make sure you got your own recovery gear and use your own recovery gear in a situation, you know, if you do get yourself stuck. Now, I'm just going to go through just some of the really basic stuff you need to have. And, you know, one thing is certainly, you know, just a snatch strap is probably a good one to have. But the thing with a snatch strap, you know, unless you're going out there, you know, with other people, because I travel a lot by myself, a snatch strap isn't going to really help you out if you get stuck out there, because you need another vehicle to be able to use this. So, but you know, but still, as a minimum, you'd want to at least still have that, just in case, you know, you've maybe got to wait for someone to come along. But so yeah, snatch strap is probably a bare minimum. And then I get into some of the winch gear, because I've got a winch on the front of me, full drive there, and tree trunk protectors, those sort of things, and then a range of shackles. So I still carry the metal D shackle there, or bow shackle, and some soft shackles as well. So I've got a bit of a combination going on there to get me out of any situation that I find myself that I might end up getting into. But as I say, with the snatch strap, and unless you've got someone else out there, it's not much good. But then there's the other thing too, is maybe look at some recovery boards. If you're going to do any sort of beach driving, sand driving, desert, those sort of things, these are feeding them a non-negotiable item is the recovery boards. Take those away. I don't really carry them a lot for the high country. I've probably never carried them into the high country, but I can see where they would be handy, especially over winter. For getting yourself out of some bogs and some sticky situations. These might be really handy for that. But yeah, when I go to the beach, go to Fraser Island, those sort of things, absolutely, definitely take those whenever I head up there. But just want to get into this recovery. I'm not going to get into what you actually need for your full drive, because everyone's got different setups and those sort of things. So we're not going to get into what you sort of really need to must have. But what I highly recommend is go doing yourself a full drive registered driver training course and learn how to use this gear properly. It's really important that you do know how to use recovery gear properly, safely, and have the right gear for your setup with all rated gear and those sort of things. And that's where a good full drive course will cover all that sort of thing. I don't know if anyone down here in Melbourne, look, 4Drive Victoria, I've done a couple of driver training courses with them over the years, and super highly recommend those sort of driver training courses with that organisation. Or you go and join yourself up in a full drive club, and that's a good way to go too, because then you're going to go out with other people. You get some great advice there. But we'd get involved in full drive clubs. They've got their own driver training courses that they run with a licensed, registered, qualified driver trainer. So there's another good option there to go and learn how to use this stuff properly, because it's all great having recovery gear, but if you're a beginner just getting started out and you're carrying all this gear around and you've got no idea how to set it up, well, this bag of safety gear can become a very, very dangerous bag of safety gear in a situation like that where you don't know what you're doing and how to set this gear up properly. So yeah, I can't speak highly enough of go and do yourself a driver training course. Not only will you learn how to use recovery gear properly, they'll show you how to set it up, but you'll do the driver training course in your full drive as well. So you'll get to learn how it works and how it works in high range, low range, and all that sort of thing with different scenarios. So yeah, driver training course is an absolute must. But look at those couple of options there with either 4Drive Vic or get yourself involved with some local full drive clubs, and they do some really good driver training, qualified driver training courses within those clubs. So definitely look at those. So let's have a look and see what else we've got on this list, because we're getting into it. Okay, so the next one on the list of absolute non-negotiable items when you're heading out there, full driving and going out there camping, is having yourself a decent toolkit, to fix and tighten things up for, it might not be just your full drive, something might come loose, or your mates might have something come loose, or you've got to fix something on one of their vehicles as well. Well, have yourself a pretty, I've got a very comprehensive sort of toolkit here. It's got absolutely everything in there, from open enders and sockets and Allen keys and spanners and shifters and screwdrivers. It's got absolutely everything there that I would need to, fix something or tighten something up, either be on my full drive or someone else's. So definitely look at yourself at getting a pretty decent sort of a toolkit that covers a good range of those sort of open-ended sockets and spanners and those sort of things. And then it's this one is just it's just a basic kit that I just carry some essential spares, things that, because I've had my patrol now for 16 years and I know this vehicle pretty well, and there is a couple of little things that, that I do need to be careful of and carry some spares in case things go wrong. And one's certainly the idler pulley belt, but I'm not going to rip in and pull all that out. I've got some other videos there which covers that whole box there with all the little spares and everything in it, but just some little knickknacks, and it's only a small little box, and but there's some pretty important gear in there that's going to get me out of trouble if I get stuck out there in the tracks out there someday. So we'll pack that one up and let's get on with this next one. Righto, so this next item, this is a pretty important one as well, as they all are what I've shown you so far, but is one of these, a spare key. How many guys actually carry a spare key when you head out there in the bush. And this is my spare key. I've got it on a lanyard here, so I could chuck around my neck if I'm going to head off somewhere and want to take it with me. But a spare key is an absolute essential, and and keep this one somewhere on, when you're around camp, keep it somewhere on the outside of your four drive in case you do, your main key gets locked inside your car there, and then how are you going to get into it without having to break into it and get your coat hangers out and try and open doors, that sort of stuff. And a key, a spare key, it takes nothing up, takes no room. But it's just a very easy thing to have in case you just got to, get into your full drive there one day because you've locked it in there for whatever reasons. Self-locking cars these days, there's all sorts of stuff goes on. But make sure you got yourself a spare key. And yeah, just keep it on the outside of your camp there one day. And it might just save you. Need to get into your full drive there one day without having to break into the damn thing. Spare key, get hold of one of those and put that in your kit as well. Let's see what else we got. Right, now this next one, I can't actually show you this one, but we'll certainly have a good chat about it because it's a very important one to have, I think, as far as part of your kit goes, and that's how many of you guys have actually got some sort of breakdown, road assist going on, some sort of cover going on there in case, you break down out in the highway there somewhere and you need to get your vehicle to a repair shop to get it fixed or got to get it home. How many people think about that? No, I'm not sure. There's probably a lot that do, but I certainly do. I've got the full total care with my patrol here, and again, because of the age of it, it's I just would not have it for that that total care, and it covers me anywhere around Australia as long as I'm on a made road, two-wheel drive accessible road. They'll come and pick my vehicle up, take it to a repairer and get it fixed. They'll also cover me when I'm towing my camera trailer as well. They'll take that as well. But if you drown your full drive, out in a river somewhere in the middle of Victorian High Country, well, they're not going to come and get you from there. You're going to need to look at some sort of third-party recovery company there to come and pick you up and get you up to a main road, and then your other roadside assist will then get you free of charge, part of your membership. Will get you then to either home if it's close enough, or get you into a repairer to get your vehicle sorted out. Same, if you're up in the middle of Central Australia, up in desert or something like that, well, they're not going to come and get you from there. So you're going to need some sort of, again, third-party full drive recovery company to come and pick you up, get your full drive and your camera trailer, whatever you might be towing, get it out to a main road, and then look at then getting into your total care. But I don't know how many people you actually got it. It doesn't matter, I think even new vehicles as well, you just never know how reliable they're going to be too sometimes. It's an absolute must, and I really do think you should look at getting some sort of off-road recovery, sort of roadside assist for those sort of things. For those sort of times when you really, really need it, you get breaking down out there, you're all stressed, and how are you going to get your vehicle home? What are you going to do? Well, just pick up the phone and hopefully in reception somewhere and organise that roadside assist, a flatbed truck to come out and pick you up and get you back to, help to get that thing sorted out. Let's have a look at the last one. Right, this next one, again, another really important accessory to have when you're going to go out there full driving, because we're all letting our tyres down to, get more traction, more comfy ride. Well, once you've let your tyres down, then you've got to get them pumped back up again. So you've got to have some sort of a compressor on board, to be able to do that. And that's what I've got here. So that's mine there, won't get out of the bag, but that's the compressor I've got for pumping my tyres up. I just still do just one tyre at a time, and no rush to to pump my tyres up. But at least I've got it. I can at least now pump my tyres up when I've got to get back out on the blacktop, and have some sort of a tyre pressure gauge, so you can read your tyre pressures and even check your tyre pressures, on a daily basis. You might want to either inflate them or let them down a bit more each morning before you take off. You might want to check them. So make sure you've got some sort of a tyre pressure gauge there as well. So there you go, guys. That's my list there of non-negotiable basic items there to get you started as a beginner for fall driving and camping, get you out there in the bush with all those items, and then add it up, see what else you might need as you go forward with that list there. So thanks very much for watching, guys. I hope this helped you out, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Hooroo.